Peter Pan was the boy who refused the calendar. In London, on a night when the whole city felt too grown up and too loud, Wendy sat on the edge of her bed and listened to the clock argue with her dreams. Somewhere inside her, a quiet fear whispered, "Tomorrow you will be older, and everyone will expect you to know what that means." Then a shadow slipped away from the wall like a prank, and a boy landed softly on the floorboards, laughing as if gravity was optional. His hair was a storm, his smile was a dare, and his eyes held the bright stubbornness of a kid who had never lost a game. "I'm Peter Pan," he announced, bowing as if introductions were applause. A tiny light, Tinker Bell, buzzed around his head, scolding him in sparkles. Peter had come to steal back something the world kept taking: play. "Fly with me," he said, "to a place where bedtime can't catch you." Wendy hesitated only long enough to feel her heart beat yes. With a pinch of fairy dust and one brave thought, she rose. Then her brothers rose too, and the window became a doorway. They sailed over chimneys and moonlit rooftops until the city shrank into a toy, and ahead the sea opened like a dark sheet of velvet. Neverland waited, bright as a secret. There, the Lost Boys burst from the trees like laughter made human, welcoming Wendy as Mother, because they wanted stories and pockets mended and someone to say the world was safe. Peter loved their cheers, loved the way every day could be a new game with no score kept. But on the shore, Captain Hook watched from his ship, polishing his hook as if it could scrape the joy out of the air. Hook was what Peter pretended adulthood looked like: pride, revenge, and rules sharp enough to cut. Hook hated Peter, not only for the missing hand, but for the insult of a boy who would never become afraid of time. One afternoon, the island held its breath. Pirates crept through the palms and snatched the Lost Boys while they slept, leaving only footprints and the faint smell of smoke. Wendy's stomach dropped. This was not a story. This was danger. Peter, however, grinned as if someone had finally set up the best part of the play. "A rescue!" he shouted. "Perfect!" For him, fear was only a costume. Wendy followed anyway, because courage is often just love refusing to step back. On the Jolly Roger, Hook offered Wendy a bargain. Stay, grow up, be sensible, and he would spare the boys. Wendy saw the trap. Hook wanted Peter to learn the one lesson Peter avoided: choices have consequences. She refused, and the deck filled with chaos. Steel flashed, pirates shouted, and above it all, Peter moved like a thought that could not be caught. He dueled Hook with a smile, leaping and spinning, turning the fight into a dance he insisted on winning. When Hook lunged for Wendy, Peter's grin flickered. For one heartbeat, he looked not like a legend, but like a child realizing someone could truly be lost. He knocked Hook back, and the crocodile's tick-tock echoed from the dark water like time itself snapping its jaws. Hook fled, swallowed by his own fear of the clock. When the shouting stopped, Wendy noticed something that chilled her more than Hook's steel. Peter was already retelling the rescue, but the details slid away from him, as if the island erased anything heavy. His gift was not only refusing to grow, it was refusing to carry weight. He stayed light enough to fly, even if it meant forgetting. Under a sky crowded with stars, Wendy understood the cost of eternal childhood, bright freedom and quiet loneliness. "Peter," she said, "I want to remember. I want tomorrow." Peter frowned, honestly confused. "Why leave the game?" "Because a life is a story," Wendy whispered, "and stories need the next chapter." She flew home with her brothers, bringing Neverland in her heart like a secret map. The bedroom clock still ticked, but now it sounded less like a threat and more like proof she was alive. Years later, whenever the world felt too hard, Wendy would open her window and breathe the night air, and she would feel that old lift in her chest. Sometimes, far away, she imagined a laugh in the wind and knew Peter was still chasing the same sunrise, an icon of imagination, while she learned to grow without losing the spark, and that became her victory now.